The surge of migrants entering the United States across the southern border has increased, and these people are from a particular surprising place. It is none other than China. For the first time in 60 years, China's population is shrinking with fewer births than deaths, and its economy is growing at its lowest rate in 40 years. As economy wavers, more Chinese migrants take a perilous journey to the US border to seek shelter. Thousands of Chinese people are illegally entering the United States via San Diego, Mexico border, seeking asylum like the citizens of impoverished Central African and war-torn West Asian nations, and pulling out a Chinese reality into the free world away from its glittering coastal cities. Experts suggest that this may be a reflection of the dire straits faced by some sections of the Chinese economy. Data from the US Customs and Border Protection shows that this year, more than 24,000 Chinese citizens have been apprehended crossing into United States from Mexico, up from 2,176 a year earlier, a whopping increase of 831%. That is more than in the preceding 10 years combined. The number is likely to increase even further after the end of 2023, when annual data on migrant encounters is released. In the last 2 years, the area has been one of the most difficult portions of a desperate journey for a large number of migrants seeking to go north. So far, 481,000 people have crossed through the jungle this year, compared with 248,000 last year, according to Panamanian officials. Most of the migrants have been Venezuelans, Ecuadorians and Haitians, fleeing crises at home, including economic and security problems. But this year, more and more Chinese have embarked on the journey. So many have crossed that Chinese citizens are now the fourth largest group traversing the jungle. Many fly to Turkey before heading to Ecuador and making their way to the United States. The extraordinary increase in number of Chinese migrant encounters confirms two things that many China watchers have been saying for a long time. One is the Chinese coastal cities or even the exceptional hinterland city like Chongqing are not a measure of the wealth of China, said Sridharan Subramaniam, a China watcher at Chennai Center for China Studies. He also added that the poverty in China's rural areas, due to various reasons, is very real. This August, the city of Zhuzhou in China's Hebei province was devastated by the worst floods that hit northern China in living memory. Less than 50 kilometers from Beijing, thousands of homes were damaged in the wake of Typhoon Doksuri. Several blog posts about the Zhuzhou floods, which accuse the authorities of deliberately flooding certain Chinese towns to control the water levels in Beijing, were censored from the measuring platform WeChat. The attempt by government is to prevent the leakage of facts on poverty as well. As we saw in the recent Beijing floods, Subramaniam added. The second aspect the experts said is that the China's economic situation in the last 2 years has been very terrible. Now, is it the faltering or the fluctuating economy reason behind the rising illegal Chinese migration? That too to the US. To recover from the global economic consequences of the COVID pandemic, Chinese leader Xi Jinping introduced the dual circulation policy to encourage domestic consumption after a fallen external demand for Chinese goods and services. But sadly, the policy has not paid off. The Chinese do not have enough trust, at least in near terms, of their economy doing well and are saving even more than they already used to do so highly. The consumption rates as a result have been falling, he added. What else is pushing China's poor into the US? The draconian zero-COVID policy, coupled with the trade war with the US and the latter's ban on semiconductor technology, are all adding to Xi Jinping's woes. More, Xi Jinping's flagship Belt and Road Initiative, a massive trade and infrastructure network that seeks to connect the country with the West in a model based on the ancient Silk Route, is failing. An analysis of a dozen countries most indebted to China, including Pakistan, Kenya, Zambia, Laos and Mongolia, shows that paying back the debt is consuming an ever greater amount of the tax revenue and draining foreign currency reserves. Behind this is China's reluctance to forgive debt and its extreme secrecy about how much money it has loaned and on what terms, which has kept other major lenders from stepping in to help. Anyhow, China has not only been unable to generate much return on BRI investment, It also is in danger of losing the capital in several countries in the last 3 years. Meanwhile, the slow but relentless de-risking leading to the relocation of industries from China to other countries is continuing to expand distress in world's second largest economy, pushing thousands of blue-collar workers to look for greener pastures elsewhere in the world. All these may be acting as the push factor in the migration of Chinese to the US. It is an irony of history that centuries ago they were among the first Asians to migrate in search of better lives, escaping the poverty at home, which led to the ubiquitous Chinatowns in several US cities.